Dah cuba fikir tadi macam mana nak cancel ke ataupun
Ya
macam
Allah, ya Allah, tak adanya. Tak ada. Saya dari pukul 8 dah bermesej dengan Puan Rozana. So,
ya,
so
kita pun terima kasih Dr. Hana. So, you okay
yes. Yes.
Sihat Dr. Hana?
Alhamdulillah baik, Prof. Apa khabar, Prof?
Okay, saya Alhamdulillah. Saya maaf tak dapat join dalam part pertama tu dalam bahagian pertama. So, are we ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, selamat sejahtera kepada semua rakan-rakan peserta ahli akademik USM yang dapat join, yang dapat menghadiri webinar pada pagi ini dan juga kepada mereka yang mengikuti dalam YouTube. Saya tak pasti berapa ramai ada di YouTube. So, this is the webinar series brought to you by Center for Development of Academic Excellence ataupun CDAE. This is known in USM, Pusat Pembangunan Kecemerlangan Akademik. So, the webinar series brought to you as part of our professional development program. And Alhamdulillah, this year, inshallah, we will bring you more students, not only from USM but from outside, to share with us a wide range of topics, mainly focusing on teaching and learning, but also topics, so-called other topics or peripheral topics related to also education in general and what we do as an academic in the university. So I'm very happy. I would like to thank Professor Maria, Dr. Rahana Maidin yang sudi untuk bersama-sama dengan kita to conduct these 3 parts session on the topic of the art of journaling for educators. Yeah, I can see from the last one also I was told that we don't have a very big group as usual, which kind of surprised me. In a way, not really surprising also, because maybe people don't realize the value of journaling, as Dr. Rahana called it, because people are too much kind of focused on technical writing for publication.
Right.
But I myself actually put a great value in writing other than scientific writing, as in my case. I have written probably more than 100 papers in the scientific journal after 27 years now. But I think the most satisfying experience, I must say, and I must confess, is actually writing the blog article. And I revisit my writing, my blog, and write my own writing. It's really very satisfying, and I learn a lot actually through reflection.
Right.
When I gather my thought to write the blog article. So now I'm writing one actually as a reflection from the 3 days workshop, and just kind of about 2 or 3 paragraphs. So I stopped, and hopefully I can continue and get the complete article. But it's very satisfying. It can be painful sometimes, painful in the sense that trying to put all the points together in a cohesive manner, in a way that it makes sense to me and makes sense to the reader. So thank you very much, Dr. Hannah. I'm sure the readers can't wait to hear from you on the second part, which is on the micro habits of professional journaling. So for those who are new, I'm not sure whether all of you here are from the first part of the program here, but otherwise, let me just very briefly read a biodata of Dr. Rahana. So Dr. Rahana is an Associate Professor of Literature at the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. She is also a Deputy Director at the Center for Teaching and Curriculum Development at UKM. I think it's equivalent to CDAE.
Yeah.
but maybe slightly more different role. She has over 35 years of teaching experience, and she was also a recipient of Anugerah Academic Negara AAN in 2014 for teaching excellence. Yeah, okay, Dr. Hannah, I think without much ado, the floor is yours. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, Prof. Karim. Anytime Prof. Karim asks you for a favor to come and present, you're like, yes. And then you think about the topic next. You don't even think about the topic when you say yes. So yeah, this idea of journaling, as Prof. Karim himself has said, came about in many other ways. One of which is Prof. Karim himself encouraging us to constantly write. If you are an educator, I think you will realize that the art of writing is something we all need to kind of work on and improve. So before we begin, there is a Telegram group that I would like you all to join. It's on the chat if you haven't got the link, for those who are joining us the first time this session. For those who joined us last week, you're still part of the Telegram group. So I'm going to go straight into it. I'm thinking about an hour. I don't like to kind of make the sessions too long and lengthy. So tell me if you're seeing what I'm seeing. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, you can see the screen, yeah.
Okay. All right. So today's session is part of a 3-part sessions, and I'm focusing primarily on journaling. And I don't talk about journaling as an academic exercise or for KPIs and for promotion. It's not like that. I'm thinking more about journaling, as Prof. Karim himself has rightly said, as part of our reflective exercise as an educator. So please, have that schema in terms with the word journaling. We'll move along easily this way. So today's topic is on micro habits of professional journaling. I talk about professional journaling because I want to make a distinction between, the diaries that people keep, the private journals that people keep, and a more professional oriented journals, which focuses on our career as an educator. Okay. So I want to start by reflecting on what we covered last. Prof. Karim will not be able to answer this because obviously he didn't attend the session, but the rest of us, those who did attend the session, want you to tell me what we covered last session. And to kind of help you along, I'm going to show you the video recording of the slides. So have a look. As you're having a look, it might trigger your memory, and write down in the Telegram group what we covered the last session. Okay, so let's see how many of you got it. Was there any answers from the group? Let's have a look. Did anybody answer at all? Except for Prof. Karim, who did not attend the session, FYI. Writing gives you clarity of mind. Okay. That's still, is that Prof. Karim? It is still Prof. Karim, yeah. Anybody else? Those who attended, let's see. Tara, I'm not sure whether they are here with us. Ahmad, Zanifa, if you're here.
Come on, everyone. Let's response to this activity. I think very interesting to reflect, I think.
Maybe your new group perhaps, but let's move on. So very quickly, these are the things that we covered in the first session for those who attended. I focus primarily on the art of reflection as an educator. And my aim was to say that as educators, taking up Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, habit number 7 primarily, he talks about sharpening the saw. As educators, we have a tool. The tool is us, basically, how well we perform as teachers, as lifelong learners ourselves, is a reflection of our ability to reflect on the things that we have experienced, in our classroom with our students. And it's part of that reflection that allows us to grow as educators, So reflecting is an important exercise. You might not want to publish what you reflect, like what Prof. Karim is doing, informing the public of his thoughts about the education. You may just want to keep these thoughts to yourself, but it is still important to reflect upon the experience of teaching in order to grow. And after reflecting upon it, you need to deconstruct what you have written. Come back to it a couple of days later. Have a look at what you have written. Pick up insights that you can draw from your own writing. Like what else did you see that you did not see when you were writing these thoughts down? Read between the lines, infer from your own writing. What these exercises does, i.e. write, reflect, and deconstruct what you have written, is to help you develop what Hollins talks about in his book called self-regulation, right? The ability to kind of regulate yourself. We're going to explore that a little bit more today in our second session. And it's also what Gartner's multiple intelligence is about. One of the multiple intelligence is intrapersonal intelligence, right? In order to develop mastery of intrapersonal intelligence, you really need to develop self-awareness, right? So you know yourself. You need to know yourself. You need to be the first to appraise yourself. You need to be the first to evaluate yourself. How well did I do? What are my highs? What are my lows, right? Before others appraise you. And all this will help you develop the ability to identify your blind spots, right? Imagine you're driving on the road. You have your side mirrors, you have the mirror, looking at the back of the car, but there will be some blind spots that you can't see, right? But if you are able to broaden your horizon, your scope of your own self and your abilities and the things that you're doing and reflect upon it objectively, your blind spots will be lessened. So those are the things that we did in the first session. I hope you're ready to move on with the second session. So in this session, I want to set the scene. Usually when I start a session, I want to give you all something to think about, something to rebut, something to kind of maybe argue with me about or discuss with me about. So this is the scene. The scene is that my thoughts are, as educators working in an institution, we are caught up between two things, right? One is the institution's expectations, the key performance indexes, the KPIs that we're constantly focusing on. the journal publications, all the rest of that, right? That's the one hand. So that's the progress that we're constantly aiming for, set by externally. Yet as educators, we also know that the art of teaching and learning is a process. Okay, so it's the kind of a contestation between the two, between the progress on the one hand and the need for progress and the process. So my contention is that every step is filled with possibilities and challenges towards achieving learning outcomes for our courses, as well as meeting stalled learning due to limitations that need to be overcome. Right? You cannot expect that every situation, like this morning, okay, I set the scene, I had the video, and I thought, okay, I'm going to play this 3 minutes video, and sure enough, a lot of people are going to respond because the video is there. The answers to my question are there in the video. All you need to do is watch the video and respond. But I didn't get any response, right? So those are part of the stalled learning that I am experiencing as an educator in this session. So at the end of today, when I reflect on this session, I'm going to have to pick up on that point and break it up and find out what's going on, write about it. How did I feel about that moment? Write about it, right? So that's what the element of process and progress is about. We all aim for progress. We want to achieve. We want to win this award. We want to move in this direction. But we forget that in order to get there, we need to fall a little bit. We need to stumble. There will be low points and there will be high points. But the low points we don't celebrate. So this session, I just want to dedicate this next 45 minutes or so to kind of break it down and see what are the things that we can do to kind of celebrate those moments, the highs as well as the lows. I see Tara has answered. Thank you so much, Tara. All right, so the proposition, this is my proposition. I want to know whether you agree or disagree with me. As educators, we tend to focus more on progress rather than process. Would you agree? Just in the Telegram group, just say yes or no, yay or nay. I have one yes so far. Yeah, so majority, I would say, agree with me. We tend to focus on progress rather than process. Now, I'm going to kind of stretch this proposition a little bit before we move on into how can we manage this better. If we focus too much on progress rather than process, are we doing the same with our learners? Are we focusing on their progress more than on their process of learning, of making mistakes, of figuring it out? Do you understand what I'm saying? If we don't have it in us to empathize with the need to focus on both process as well as progress, how are we going to reciprocate that in our learners? Right? When we have good learners, we want to kind of motivate them, we push them to do better. Whereas when we have the weaker learners, so those learners who are not motivated, who may have challenges in terms of cognitive understanding of the lesson, maybe they're more visual learners, maybe they're more kinesthetic learners, but the way we're teaching them tends to focus more on a particular brand of learners. And hence their process, those weaker students, their process are slower. But we don't celebrate process, you see? In our mind, we're focusing too much on progress, right? So we don't have it in ourselves to be able to say process matters as much as progress. If we don't have that in ourselves, how are we going to mirror that in our teaching and learning? So today's session, I want to kind of give us some time out from all the need for progress and achievements and KPIs. Just take a 40-minute timeout. All right, just let's focus on the process and ask ourselves certain fundamental questions. Let's see. Let's check in with our Telegram group. I agree, Prof. Karim, high five to you. Sometimes we are bogged down with the nitty-gritty of the process. Oh, we are? You think we are? Cool. Process is about growth. I agree. Sarah says, I think process matters as well to give us direction how to progress. Completely agree with you, Sarah. Let's move on and find out how we can go about doing that. Okay, so today's focus is primarily on developing journaling strategies that can help us both, focusing both on the process and progress of being and becoming an excellent educator. Always remember that you are an excellent educator, but you're becoming better. Your level of excellence is improving as your years progress, right? So this element of being and becoming is also another important thing that we need to celebrate. Whoever we are at this stage, this is the person we're being, right? This is the level we are at, right? That's part of the process also. And the person we're going to be, the person we're aiming to be, right? That's part of the progress we want to see in ourselves. But we need to celebrate both aspects. Don't beat ourselves up because we're not Prof. Karim at this stage, right? Because Prof. Karim's in a different level altogether, but it's something to attain towards, like the level of mastery, the level of excellence that he demonstrates. So we all have that, but at the same time, where we are is good as well, right? So that's part of the being and the becoming of an excellent educator. So that's our focus today, but we're using journaling for these purposes. Obviously, there are other strategies on how to improve as an educator, okay? But for today's purpose is primarily on journaling. Okay, so I'm going to give you lots of prompts. There are 5 prompts altogether in this session. So every prompt that I give, for those of you who have your journals, who did your homework last week's session, if you have your journal, bring it out. You may have an iPad journal, you may have your actual, you have your little diary journal. I've got diaries all over the place because I'm more pen and paper kind of a journal. So I'm going to give you 5 prompts, and for each prompt, I will give you some time to produce some writing. So please use this time to kind of develop yourself. All right. So the first prompt is the first micro habit. The first micro habit is one of the ways to improve on your art of reflection is to begin with a prompt, meaning you're stuck. You don't know what to write about. Have a prompt. Prompt helps you to kind of get it started. So journaling prompts help you get started, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed with work or facing mental fatigue. You haven't written in your journal in a while and you're like, I feel tired. That's exactly the time to kind of sit down and just write those thoughts down. But you're stuck. Your mind is like, it's just so tired, right? Maybe you've had meetings and then classes and then back to meetings and then more classes afterwards, or even supervision and sandwich in between, and you're just too exhausted, right? So you're overwhelmed, you're really tired, but you still need to express some reflection for the day. So here are a couple of journal prompts that we as educators can use. The first is, my innovation for this semester is, so finish that sentence. The second is, my strategy to overcome learner disengagement with this course is. So those are my examples. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to think of your own prompts, and I want you to come up with at least 5, if not 10 journal prompts and share them in your Telegram group. Okay? So the task is, you are stuck. You want to do your reflection, but you're stuck. But you want to have some prompts to get you started. What prompts will you be able to use? We're going to develop the prompts now. Okay, so prompts will be like a sentence. Maybe you have a sentence that you finish. That's part of the prompt. If you don't understand what I'm asking you to do, please ask me in the Telegram group. Okay, so the example that I gave is, my innovation for this semester is, my strategy to overcome learner disengagement with this course is. So that's my prompt. So at the end of the day, at the end of the night, if I want to write about something and I'm stuck, I'm going to write on one of those things. So give me your ideas of your prompts. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do this. Whilst we're doing that, we're going to listen to some music, because the last time it was a little bit boring. I have my own playlist, so you know, let's get started. Look for the good in everything. Okay, I'm going to check in with you guys on Telegram. All right, so that was 3 minutes and 59 seconds, almost 4 minutes. So let's see what you've got. I saw a lot of people typing and then they stopped, and then they were typing and then they stopped. So I'm not too sure whether yeah, Yisiu, you're typing now. So just post whatever you have, because I just would like us to kind of share our thoughts of what we think are journal prompts, right? And maybe other people can learn from us. So that's part of building the community of practitioners. You know, it might be just 2 or 3 people coming together at the beginning, but even those 2 or 3 people can motivate each other. Can you imagine the number of students those 2 or 3 individuals can impact, right? And those individuals the students can then go on to impact others. So let's kind of start somewhere. So I'm going to start with what Prof. Karim has shared, and I think these are awesome prompts, Prof. Number 1 is, what is one thing I can do differently for my class, for my next class? How do I create an immersive environment in my online session? How do I convince educators to write beyond the KPI of the university? How to convince people to share content? How do I get students to put integrity first, not a grade? These are brilliant prompts in terms of asking for ideas, planning for ideas to move forward. Yisu, your prompt is, how do I motivate student to do the next task instead of the student waiting for my instruction? Right. Anybody else? I see a lot of people writing now. Ahmad's writing, Sarah's writing. All right, brilliant. Ahmad, I'm just going to call you all your first name. I know, most of you are like doctors and professors, so just call me Raihana. We're cool. So Ahmad's prompts are, my strategy to overcome supervision backlog is brilliant. The steps that I need to achieve publication target is, okay, you're still going with your KPIs, Ahmad. Come on, back to being an excellent educator for now. I'm just kidding, okay, because I know I've got that looming over my head as well. The time I need to spend for family and work is brilliant, right? Work-life balance. The motivation that I need to improve my passion towards teaching and learning is brilliant. I love these prompts. Ahmad, I'm going to pin them. Anybody else? Fazahra, the efforts to get students to participate in an online lecture. Maybe we'll finish that. The efforts I took to get students to participate in an online lecture are. Just keep that as an open-ended statement that you will answer or you will fill up later when you have something to write about. How do I create a lively session in my online class? How do I get feedback instantly from students? Okay. You all are asking the second prompt. You're jumping the gun. You're very brilliant students, you guys are. How did the students feel when I asked them to, okay, Tara, brilliant. How did the students feel when I asked them to participate in the Telegram group, right? That would be something but then you need a response from the students. You need to do a bit of a needs analysis. What happened when the class was silent at the point when? Okay, so you need to kind of have a prompt or a open-ended statement that has not been completed in order for you to write about later. Okay, Sarah, being an educator is rewarding for me because what happened when the class was silent? Okay, sorry. Being an educator is rewarding for me because how I can inspire my students better. Okay, I inspired my students better today by, just keep that as a prompt, Sarah. Just keep that as an open-ended prompt and then reflect on it. Did you do something to inspire your students? I guided students to see life in a broader view by or through my actions of, so just keep it open-ended like that, okay? Azida, I got my students to teach me in class, ... Just finish that sentence later. Today I learned from my students that ... Just finish that sentence at another time. That's how you use prompts. Prompts are basically ideas that you will come back to when you are stuck, when you are feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling tired, but you still want to write about something, right? But you don't have anything to write about because your mind's a bit drained. But you look at one of these prompts and take them and just finish that sentence. And that might get you starting to write a little bit more than a sentence. Okay, so that was the first micro habit. The second micro habit, as I see, a lot of you have kind of jumped the gun and gone on to the second micro habit. You're brilliant students, you all are. Taking up Tony Robbins' statement that we talked about last session, the quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of questions you are asking yourself. So are we asking ourselves critical questions, or are we just going with the flow of what others are expecting from us? So I want you to look at your questions. For those of you who've already gotten your questions, I want you to look at your questions, ask yourself one of two things. Are the questions more about the progress that I need to be making, or are they more about the process that I need to be making? Okay, is that part of the progress, achievements, and the KPIs, or is it more of the process, the bits and pieces that I need to focus on? So I need you to kind of think about critical questions, but at the same time, also ask yourself these other fundamental ideas. Because remember at the beginning, you all said that you did agree that we tend to focus more on progress rather than process. So the idea now is to ask ourselves questions that will help us think more of the process rather than just progress. Okay? So did I? All right. Yeah, Prof. Karim summarized the first prompt, the first writing habit, write prompt in the form of incomplete sentence to be completed later. That's right. So let's move on with the second prompt. The second micro habit, which is begin with the question. So I see a lot of you are writing in the Telegram group. This is brilliant. So spend 3 minutes. Prof. Karim, you've done the question, but you haven't done the prompt. So I would like to see you doing the prompt now. Work on that. Thank you very much. So you're gonna have 3 minutes to identify questions you want to ask yourself as an educator, specifically about your teaching. It could also be about your supervision. There was one question about Ahmad put something about supervision. My strategy to overcome supervision backlog is. Come up with at least 5 questions, critical questions. You've seen some of these other questions that Prof. Karim and others have posted. So, be inspired by those questions and come up with your own, specifically on your situation. Right? Every one of us have a very unique situation, and those situations should trigger slightly different questions. Okay, so another song coming your way. I know I've always inspired to be a DJ. This is something that I've always wanted to do, but never got around to it. So here you go, Alicia Keys with Underdog. Enjoy, everybody. All right. Let's see if you've got any more ideas in the Telegram group. Ahmad, how can I improve the time for my supervision? So this would be more, is it process or progress? Think about that. Do my students face the difficulties towards their research? Do they face any difficulties in their research? And if so, what can I do about it, perhaps? Yeah. How can I provide help to my students? Yeah. So these are all very good questions because they are focusing more on process, the day-to-day work that, supervisees face with regards to their research. What are the priorities that I need to focus on? Okay, so that's both the process as well as the progress. So in terms of priorities, you're always asking yourself a couple of questions. The first would be, is this going to get me the promotion I want? But the second one would be, is this going to help me become the educator that I aspire to be, right? So those kind of ideas will help as well. How can I split the time needed to work efficiently and the quality time to spend with my family? Brilliant. How is the person that I refer to as my motive? Who? Do you mean who? Who is the person that I can refer to as my motivational mentor? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, I see more people writing. So this is lovely because, I know people are trying to participate. So I'm going to give you all a little bit more time. There's three more prompts coming and then we'll be done. So we've done 2 so far. If you want to kind of go back to your first micro habit and kind of develop incomplete sentences, please do that as well. Tara, what went well in that class? What did not go very well? Yeah. Why did it not go well? I think that's why is a brilliant question to ask in any situation. What can I do to help students to learn better the next time? Yeah. And Tara, I would in fact add also, what can students do to help themselves learn better next time? Right? Sometimes we put that on our burden, right? But I think it needs to be shared. So I would add to that. Okay. How do I manage my time to focus on some of the things that I missed before? Good. Zahira, nice to see you again. We missed you earlier. How can I connect future lesson with what we just covered today? Brilliant. Okay. Those who have just joined us, welcome. So we've done 2 micro habits. The first was to come up with incomplete sentences as part of our prompts, which we can finish or complete later at a later date when we're journaling. The second is using questions as a way to start our writing, our journaling. So Tara, no, don't worry about it. I've got fat fingers myself. Okay, so and those who've just joined us, have a look at Prof. Karim's incomplete sentence as micro habit number 1. I believe that I can do more to help my students, but okay, writing for research publication. Ugh. Writing for research publication used to be my staple. Okay, but I find writing for my reflection is more satisfying because, brilliant, I love this. Because, yeah, Prof, high five again. I concur with you. I feel the same. Okay, a couple of, another list of questions. Let's go with that. Z110Z. Z10Z. Okay. Am I ready? Am I already the subject matter expert? Okay. We're still going with that, huh? Okay, never mind. How can I know whether students really bother on the contents delivered or not, right? Good. Basically, how well do they engage with it, right? Who is the best educator on the subject, which I can relearn and improvise my teaching? Okay, brilliant. Okay. Okay, we'll wait for Liana. Liana just joined us. We'll wait for Liana to finish her sentence, finish whatever she's writing and share it with us, and then we'll move on. Oh, okay. Liana is Olin, right? Okay. Okay, so we're going to move on. Finish, whoever's finishing the writing. How can I convert assignments to publications? Honestly, you guys, all right. Okay, so we come to our third micro habit. And this is something that honestly, when I came across this concept as I was doing my readings over the last few months, it kind of like just stumped me because I know I have huge negativity bias. So third habit is to identify your negativity bias. What is negativity bias? It is a tendency to focus on, look for, or dwell on negative aspects of life. The metaphor for this is, Prof. Karim, you will chuckle on this. And the metaphor for this is whether the glass is half full or half empty. A lot of us, when we see a glass that is half, when we see a glass with half of which is with water, some of us might think it is half full and others may think it is half empty. It's like what's lacking that we focus on rather than what's available. So negativity bias tends to be that kind of our attitude towards life. The tendency in us to focus primarily on things that did not work out. Like for instance, if I were practicing that, I might be still dwelling upon the fact that at the beginning of this session, you all did not participate in the Telegram post, right? I might be focusing on that rather than move on. So negativity bias tends to kind of hold us back. So this is a quote from a psychologist, Catherine Moore, from her blog, positivepsychology.com. Have a look if you're interested. Even when we experience numerous good events in one day, negativity bias can cause us to focus on the sole bad thing that occurred. Just that one bad thing, and it just sits there, like a nail stuck in our head. It can lead us to ruminate on small things, worry over having made a bad impression, and linger on negative comments and the like. So for this micro habit, I need us to kind of really dig deep and reflect on some of our negativity bias, some of the things that we tend to ruminate over or worry over or linger in our mind about. Okay, so have a look at these ideas as kind of like just to kind of give you thoughts. So examples of negativity bias include you receive a performance review at work that was quite positive overall. It highlighted some of your strong performance and achievement. A few constructive comments pointed out about how you could improve, and you find yourself fixating on those remarks. Rather than feeling good about the positive aspects of your review, you feel upset and angry about those few critical comments. So that was taken from a particular writer, Kendra Cherry. This is my idea. The second example is my thoughts. You tried using an online technique in front of your colleagues and department heads, but it did not work out as well as you hoped. You find yourself cringing with embarrassment every time you recall the incident. even though your colleagues don't ever bring it up. So that's another example of negativity bias. You try something, it didn't really work out. You've been kind of embarrassed about it, and every time you meet your colleagues, you feel a bit shy. You're constantly ruminating in your mind. You're constantly thinking about that. So I want you to now just spend some time thinking about what are your negativity bias. What worries you about your identity as an educator? Maybe there is a nagging thought in your mind, you messed up one time and you're still focusing on that. Or maybe you received a feedback from a student and you're still focusing on that. So what do you ruminate over? What negative thoughts lingers in your mind constantly? Okay, so let's take another 3 minutes focusing on that. Okay, so here's DJ Raihana coming up with another song for you. Let's go with, I like this one, JP Cooper's Little Bit of Love. All right, enjoy.
When you try to find the words, but then it's slow. When you sit up,
Oh, okay. I'm going to let you all finish up because some of you are still writing. So there's another song coming your way. Brown eyed girl. Oh wow, really? Y'all can't hear the song? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I really thought y'all could hear the song.
Yeah, actually tak dengar tu Laina. It just kind of macam ada bunyi angin macam tu lah. Bunyi. I don't know about others, whether they can listen or not. Whether
Okay,
they
never
can
mind.
hear.
I really thought y'all could hear, and it's been very good songs for me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
all right. So we'll move on. I like some of these negativity bias that our friends are reflecting on, and I know we can kind of empathize with it. You know, I missed Prof. Karim's. Which one is it? Yeah, you know, we look at Prof. Karim as somebody who kind of who inspires us, and who we aspire to be like. But have a look at his nagging thought. When I talk about what I do, am I being perceived as boasting or bragging? Although my intention is sincere to inspire. So I like that idea that we look at this side of the screen, and we look at him and we think that, wow, he's brilliant, he's doing awesome work and all the rest of it. But he himself might have these issues that he is questioning. So thank you for being candid with us, Prof. Karim. We appreciate your reflection. Ahmad, sometimes I found my students have better understanding than me. Yeah, right. Especially in this day and age where they can learn from anywhere before coming to class, and they might know stuff before you do, or more than you do. I agree with you. That's something to think about. I realized that I made so many mistakes in my work after the work has been completed and submitted, right? Sometimes I tend to compete with staff who are perfectionists, and through self-reflection, it demotivates me, right? You're chasing after someone else's aspirations. The thought of finishing my work halfway when too many deadlines, right? I tend to do things on my own when doing things collaboratively. This reflecting my inability as a leader, and I feel shy or scared to actually instruct people, especially those of my colleagues. Zahira, sorry. When I look back at my recording, I ask myself if I was too animated, energetic, and some might feel overwhelmed. Then I thought, yeah, they were overwhelmed. Next time I will slow down. Okay. Nagging thought, Tara. Am I making an impact on the students' lives? Do students find what they are learning useful? Okay. After submitting my work, I will receive some comments that make me feel demotivated sometimes. And it takes me a long time to remotivate myself, right? Imagine, you write for Medium or any of the popular platforms, right? Then you get maybe 2 readers. So that can be demotivating, right? And you may think maybe I shouldn't write anymore, right? Those kinds of thoughts are also negativity bias. Not giving adequate feedback to students, right? FOMO, fear of missing out on the utilization of latest online platforms for teaching and learning purposes. Have I updated my knowledge enough? Masih short sendiri. To really perform and give all out in teaching and to focus on pressing publication needs. Say no, thank you is always the hardest for me, right? When being asked. Okay, so this idea of negativity bias, one of the things that we need to watch out for, especially in this day and age when expectations are mounting, right? Not just from ourselves, but externally from the institutions and then from friends and even families and colleagues and department heads and faculty heads. One of the effects of negativity bias is an increased level of fear, anxiety, and stress. So lots of medical journals have published, and I'm just taking one evidence. Higher stress predicted a greater negativity bias. So when your stress level goes up, your tendency to have negativity bias is also higher, and you have poorer social skills. So it is all kind of interrelated. The more negativity bias you practice, the more your stress goes up, and then the more your stress goes up, the more you have tendencies for negativity bias, which means when something bad happens, you focus on that, you ruminate on that more and more and more. So this is something we all know and maybe even experience, but what can we do about it? So the journal reflection that I'm focusing on is to kind of help us break it down a little bit. So micro habit number 4 is, ask yourself, how can I reframe the negativity experience? How can I reframe it by looking at something that I can experience or learn from that moment? So return to the list that you have and look at it and say, what would I do differently? Right? Ahmad said, he tends to make mistakes in the things that he works on. So you know this about yourself. What can you do about it? Zahira, you said, you may be more animated in your online classes. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because I'm a very animated educator, because that's just my style. So I don't think there is anything wrong with it, but it's up to you to reflect whether or not you feel you need to work on it or not, right? But one of the things that journaling can do is, when you know the list of your negativity bias, these are the things that kind of, maybe this week, these are the things that I'm ruminating about. These are the things that's bothering me, right? Maybe that colleague said something and said, you ni showing off ke? Selalu share dekat webinar je, showing off ke? And you're like, you keep telling yourself it doesn't bother you. You keep telling yourself that my intentions are sincere. You keep telling yourself that I want to empower other educators, but that one comment hurts. Even if like 1,000 people say, thank you so much for sharing this whole week, I've learned a lot from you and everything, but that one comment kind of stays with you a little bit longer. You need to write about it. You need to, first of all, identify that, be conscious, be aware, identify that, and secondly, write about it, right? Ask yourself these questions. Would you do it differently? Would you do it differently so that one person will not say that to you? Or would you still do what you've done? Write about it. Express those ideas down so that you don't ruminate about it. That's the idea of this micro habit number 4, where you take time to reframe. Like, imagine you're taking a picture, right? So when you reframe that picture, you look at the picture from a new angle, from a new perspective. So that's what micro habit number 4 encourages us. Okay, so maybe take a minute. I'm just going to just take a minute this time instead of 3, because you all didn't get to hear the song. So I'm a bit disappointed. So spend a minute and look at the list that you have, the negativity bias that you identified, and ask these critical questions. What would I do differently? Honestly, if I can undo that experience, undo that moment, what would I do differently? Right? What lessons have I learned from that experience? It's painful. I don't want to think about it. So wait for a while. Don't come back to it immediately. But once you're more settled and you want to come back to that moment, how would you approach it differently? Imagine you're in class and a student knows a little bit more than you do. And it just kind of like stumps you and maybe even embarrass you a little bit, right? And you keep that in your mind. And then when you're more settled, reframe that experience through expressive writing. Ask yourself questions like, what would I do differently? Would I want my students to know less than me? That's a question. Would I want my students to know less than me? Okay, what kind of an educator do I want to be? Because to me, as a teacher, I'm always a facilitator. I'm not the master of everything. I'm not the Sifu on the stage, right? I'm not. I've never claimed myself to be that. Right? I might have the qualification only because I've had years of experience and a little bit more time compared to my students, right? But it's okay if they know more than me because we are part of the learning ecosystem. That's how I approach my teaching and learning, right? So I'm a facilitator for them. I'm not the master that kind of they have to emulate and learn from. That's my philosophy, at least, right? So let's have a look before we go to our last micro habit. Yeah, Zahira, I agree with you. You know, sometimes we are overly conscious and fearful that people can't follow our style. These are part of the ruminating thoughts. These are part of our negativity bias. And it's good to be able to identify that. The minute you have identified it in yourself, you realize this is something that can hold me back, right? But you have to ask yourself, who else can I be but myself? I need to be my authentic self, right? And if I cannot be my authentic self, I'm not going to live my full potential. So as you're writing those thoughts down, you're in fact coaching yourself through those negativity biases, okay? Okay, a couple more people are writing, so I'm just gonna let them finish up before we go to our final micro habit. I hope this is making sense to you all because this is very much my passion. This is not my area of, I'm not a subject matter expert or what have you, but this is something I've been interested in, passionate about, reading up on, going for classes online on, and all that. Liana, I like that. Hashtag be truthful. Yeah, I agree with Tara. Prof. Karim, carry on with what you do because you inspire a lot of people. I'm going to give you all another minute because I see a lot of people are writing still. Ahmad, high five, brilliant. Change the style of teaching. Flip the classroom. Use their knowledge as part of the learning activity in class. Brilliant. Brilliant. Zahira's reframe. There are days when people's energy doesn't match ours. Nothing is wrong with me just now. Maybe our energy doesn't match today. Next class will be better. This is not forever. Zahira, yeah. MY, reframe. I will continue doing my best in work and treat the negative comments as a test that should be passed. Interesting. Tara, my reframing, like Prof. Karim, continue to do what we think is right and get our niyat right. Yeah, now I too is important, I agree. Also take action rather than overthinking things. Just do it. Change if you think you need to change. Yeah, these are part of the lessons of life. These are part of the process, not just the progress, but part of the process. So these reframing exercises, these exercises of identifying our negativity biases, as well as reframing those negative experience towards having our teachable moments for ourselves, that's part of the process that we miss out on when we're constantly focusing on the progress, on where we want to go, right? Right. So whenever why is right, the how comes automatically. Brilliant. Sounds like a long bumper sticker. Know the limit of my strength. It is no harm to ask help and collaborate. This may improve the quality of my work. Okay. Okay, brilliant. Last micro habit. Before we do that, we've done this bit. Last micro habit. Everywhere I go, every online course, every book that I read regarding journaling, one of the biggest things, or one of the primary exercise that all of them recommend is this: to count your blessings. They call it gratitude, they call it blessings, they call it various terms, but it all means the same thing. Science shows that expressing gratitude daily can do a lot of things. On this blog by this writer, there are 28 benefits of gratitude. Can you imagine, like, all these benefits just by you sitting down and asking yourself, what am I grateful for today? Okay, so some of them include being less impatient, reducing depression, blood pressure, improve sleep, develop mindfulness and empathy. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to think that all you need to do is just sit down and reflect on things that are going great in your life, and you can do this. You can achieve this, overall health and well-being. So for the final micro habit, I just want you to spend 5 minutes and challenge yourself to write 30 things that you are grateful for as an educator. Okay, 30 things. You might think, oh my God, 30, really? Do I have 30 things that I'm grateful for? Okay, let's challenge ourselves. All right, get started. This is our final exercise, by the way. Okay, just give me one or two. Prof. Karim says 30, I'll do that later, haha. But just give me one or two as an educator. I'll start you all off. My first would be the people I have had the privilege to meet, both my students in the classroom, my supervisees, as well as the other educators from various parts of the world, in Malaysia as well as elsewhere, that I've had the chance to meet because I am an educator. I am eternally grateful for that. Okay, because I'm very much an introvert. I don't make friends very easily. But because I'm an educator, I'm able to meet people, very interesting and very motivating people in this capacity as an educator. So give me one thing, at least just one thing that you are grateful for. To be part of the USM family, Ahmad, making a difference, and seeing the grateful faces in your learners, right? I'm grateful that students still see me as their inspiring teacher. To be able to get pahala every day by teaching others, not just now, but in our faith, we're taught that even whilst you're waiting for the judgment day, you're still getting your pahala for the knowledge that you have shared onto others. Couple more things, come on, things that you all are grateful for. Before we round up our session. Surrounded by many brilliant minds. Absolutely. Oh, being able to learn new things every day. Getting visits from ex-students who drop by to thank me for the education that they have received. Brilliant. I feel so grateful that I have learned so much from meeting people who are willing to share knowledge online. Oh, thank you so much, Sahira. I know the fact that you've put me in the same bracket as Prof. Karim is just mind-boggling. Liana, health, family, enthusiasm, different perspectives from different cultures, my thick face to learn from others. Grateful for the flexible working hours, absolutely. Grateful to have touched people's lives. Very grateful when I can wake up every day before Fajr and do a lot of meaningful things. Grateful that no matter what the situations are, we're still continuing with our teaching and able to impart knowledge to students. Yes. That we still have a job, people. Come on, right? Absolutely, Tara. Grateful to have the need to read and update my knowledge, right? You know, you may reach a certain level and you think, you know what, I know enough, you know, and you don't see the value in pushing yourself to improve yourself further. I completely agree. Okay. All right, so basically those are the 5 micro habits. So just a recap before we conclude. We said the first one is begin with a prompt. A prompt is like an incomplete sentence. So you have these list of incomplete sentences, and then anytime you're stuck and you're not sure what you want to write about for that day or reflect upon on that day, just look at your list of incomplete sentences, take any one of them, and then just write on based on that. The second is begin with a question. The more critical your question, the more you are engaging with aspects of you that you might consider unknown. So the blind spots, right? So you want to be able to ask yourself these critical questions. So make time to have a list of questions, right? And look at some of the questions that some of our friends have posted in the Telegram group. Use them to your advantage. The third micro habit, identify your negativity bias. So it changes. So maybe this week something else happened compared to last week. And you notice how things change from one to another, but our preoccupation and rumination of our negativity biases is still the same. We're still dwelling on things. And what that does is it makes us more anxious and stressful, right? And other negative experiences in life, impacts us as well. So one strategy, one micro habit that you can kind of put into place is to reframe the negative experience with expressive writing, right? Express your ideas and your thoughts and your emotions, but do it in a more conscious manner. Ask yourself, what have you learned from the experience? Ask yourself, what would you do differently? If you could do that again, what would you do differently? And finally, this is also connected to our negativity bias, because when you're focusing on the negative, that's all you see in your life. But when you are able to broaden the horizon and see all the good things that's happening in your life, all the blessings that you are getting, you are more able to cope with those negative experiences. So count your blessings and do this regularly, especially the blessings. Do that regularly. So final thoughts. I started with a proposition. My concluding thoughts is educators need the ability to do a couple of things. Synthesize the process taken as they develop their craft in order to value the progress in their journey towards reaching excellence in the profession. So we need both. As much as progress is important, you still need the process and your ability to synthesize the process towards improving you to reach progress. And my take-home message, I've got a couple here. The first will be from some medical articles again. The idea of being mindful is really key. A lot of people talk about mindfulness, but it's kind of an abstract concept. So this is a good definition of mindfulness that I got from this article, a medical article. And I quote, mindfulness is a disposition for describing people with a high level of self-regulated attention, to be aware of the moment-to-moment flow of experiences, as well as an attitude for open, non-judgmental, and receptive orientation. So the more mindful you are, the more you are more self-regulated. You can regulate yourself, right? You don't need to take medicine to regulate yourself. You don't need to do other things to kind of regulate. You are able to regulate yourself, the highs and the lows. You're kind of able to balance it out. You're more aware of what's happening. You don't get consumed by the moment. You look at the moment and you're more observant of it, right? You're detached from the experience, but at the same time, you're part of the experience. You have a very open attitude. Whatever comes is going to be good for me. Whatever comes is going to help me get to where I want to go. You have that kind of a very positive attitude. And you're not judgmental. That person is expressing those negative thoughts. That's his opinion. He may be right, he may be wrong. Leave it at that and move on, right? So you're more receptive. You don't react. You tend to respond to situation in a more positive way. And my final take-home message from today's 5 micro habits that I shared, journaling is key to a lot of the things that educators experience, both the negative experiences as well as the highs, and the key reasons to journal, as I summarize here based on my session this morning. The first is it reduces your blind spots in your teaching, because you have to do self-appraisal. You have to evaluate yourself before others evaluate you. You don't wait for somebody to tell you you're excellent. You ask yourself, how am I fanning out, right? To my level of excellence, how am I performing today? Did I do my best? Can I do better? Number 2, you develop a big picture mindset because you're focusing both on the process as well as the progress. And your craft as an educator needs both, right? And finally, you journal to help you reduce the negativity bias. And you frame those negative experiences by re-expressing those ideas through lessons that you have learned, but also by counting your blessings daily. Okay, so with that, I conclude this session. Any comments?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Rahana. Such such a brilliant sharing.
Alhamdulillah, thank you, Prof.
I really love
from
every
you.
moment of it.
I love the moments on the Telegram because you know it's very noisy in the Telegram.
Yeah, that's what we want. You know, in every session, I always hope that people are, you know, actively participating, engaging, and putting their mind really on the session rather than doing other things and or get distracted with other things. Because when I attend any webinar, it is my intention to really learn something. So I will put aside everything else, you know. So I'm not here for a CPD point. I have never bothered in my 27 years in USM. I have never bothered about CPD point actually. But I know that I will get the points, but I've never bothered about CPD points. So I want to learn. And today I have learned tons of new things. And especially because I love writing. So I wish we had more people, educators, really listen to this one. Maybe they can watch the recording, but the impact is different because, you know, you are not able to engage directly in the activity. You are not able to really live together with other participants. There's no vibrant kind of environment when you watch the recording. So I look forward actually for the next session. Maybe I can open for a very quick, maybe one or two questions, maybe from the participant, especially in the WebEx here.
Sure.
Yeah, you can unmute the microphone and directly ask Dr. Royana. Anyone here like to ask questions?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah,
Sufril ya. Sufril.
Oh, Dr. Sufril. Yeah, Dr. Ahmad tadi tu, Dr. Ahmad Sufril.
Ahmad.
Oh, I
Ahmad.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very interesting to learn about journaling. But actually, one of my weakness is putting down my thoughts on paper, especially, or in any electronic form. I tend to lose it. So is there any way or any application available out there that actually helps, you know, putting all the thoughts, especially what you have teach earlier? I mean, if they are, maybe it will be a great help, especially organizing my thoughts rather than putting down on paper or journaling books, because I tend to lose it and something when I put something and then I will lose it somewhere else, especially when it stack up, and I will get in trouble in looking for it, especially, you know, looking for the pages where I put the thoughts and so on. That's my question.
Thank you for the question, Dr. Sufril. You know, if it's simple Google on, so simple search on iOS or Android, Play stores or whatever, you will find there are, you know, tons of journaling applications, and they've made it a lot more easy for us to capture our reflection. So there are a lot of applications. You know, if you wanted something more electronic, for sure there are. It's just what kind of a journaling do you want? Like I'm the kind, I want blank space. I don't want them to prompt me with these, you know, things, your ideas or questions. I want them to just give me a blank space. So that's the kind of a person that I am. So in your case, I would recommend that you have a look at some of the Play Store, just search in the Play Store, journaling. They have bullet journalings. There are various different types. But if you're an iPad user, something like Notability, you can kind of open new notebooks and, you know, you can kind of write them down. You can draw ideas down. You can even capture your voice recording if you want to do it that way. So there are definitely a lot of things to kind of explore out there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like Prof. Karim, I like this question. I like this point. Aman,
Yes.
I'm afraid to write because I will show my internal mind. Ooh, that is
yeah,
brilliant. That's a very brilliant observation. But you see, the thing is, if you don't reflect upon it, you bottle it up and it can kind of come across in other forms of your personality. So to me, it's better to actually express them in your writing. You don't need to publish them, but you need to kind
yeah,
of get it out. You know, I express those ideas, angry, bragging, skeptical. Yeah. Because if you don't, it will still come out in your aggression, in your behavior, yeah.
I
Doctor, I've
think
got a
even when we are angry, we can use a technique like reframing. We can reframe it and put it in a positive light, so to speak. But I think again, writing is a very powerful way of uh, putting or expressing our angry feeling, or whatever feeling that we have, in a way that when we read our own writing, it actually a very powerful way of reflecting on those points, and it actually forces us to think even deeper, or maybe
Yeah.
looking things at from a different perspective, and it will just make us a better, I think, make us a better person. That's from my own personal experience.
I agree.
Yeah.
So some of our friends have shared some of their ideas. Prof. Karim has shared Evernote, Google Keep, yeah.
Yes.
And then if you
Yeah.
want to publish it online, there is Medium, there's Blogspots. Sarah, Blogspots and WordPress, agree with you. Liana has said Readly. So these are ideas where you want to make your writing available online, right? But if you want to keep it private, especially with what Aman was saying, things like, his frustrations and anger, perhaps, these are things you want to be able to get it out of your system, right? And so writing journals actually helps that. And as Prof. Karim says as well, rightly so, you can actually come back to it weeks later when you're a lot calmer about the situation, and you may look at your writings and you may ask yourself, what have I learned from that? And like, as I look at my own writing about it, what have I learned from that? Those are moments, it's priceless. Those experiences in life, we're part of this university of life. Even after you retire, you're part of this university of life until you expire, until you die, So you will have learning moments all the time. And it's up to us to kind of reflect on those learning moments. Yeah.
I think what I find most powerful in writing, the reflection part, where I try to articulate kind of random thoughts and pieces of points in my mind, and try to weave them together in a coherent manner. And that, when we do again and again, it will really sharpen, I think, the skill of articulation, ability to articulate, and then we can transfer the skill to our students.
Yeah.
Because I always tell the students, if you can write your idea in 140 characters or 280 characters, just like a tweet, one tweet, why would you want to write longer? So make it short and concise, short and sweet, so that you can get the points across very clearly, succinctly, to the audience. So that's why I feel very strongly that people listening to this session today, if you have not started blogging, for example, Medium, I think Dr. Rahana also, I have shared your link, your Medium link,
Yeah. Yeah.
without your permission. I've shared in the
Oh,
chat.
have you? Okay. I
Yeah.
haven't posted based on today's session yet. So yeah.
The good thing about Medium as a blogging platform, or as your journaling platform, because it will start with as a blank screen, blank page. So there's no distraction. But hidden behind it is a very powerful formatting tools. If you wish to format it, in a nicer, as a nice presentation. But otherwise, you only see a blank page, kan, Dr. Ana?
Yeah.
So you just focus on expressing your thought and articulate your points, in a way that you can present in the best possible way that when people read, they can understand what you're trying to say. Yeah? Joanna, anything
And
to add?
I would like to take up this idea of when you are emotionally charged, when something happens and you're emotionally charged by that experience, there is something there to blog about or write about, because it means you are affected by something, and that may be a story that you want to share, but you're right, say it in a way that kind of captures the moment, but reframe it so that you don't just use foul language, but rather you use language that express the ideas and the thing that you have learned from that moment. I think this is crucial.
There are many events in our daily life, moments in our daily life, that we learn something when we reflect on it. But when we learn something, it's for ourselves, for our own growth. But why not, if we write it down, so that what we have learned for ourselves and allow us to grow can also be read by others and allow them to grow as well. That's, I think, the very basic thing that I always tell myself, that I'm doing this because I want to share, because I want other people to grow as well. Um, I just finished actually back-to-back workshop. The second one the last weekend, Friday to Sunday. There are a lot of discussion during that workshop, and we came up with great ideas. But how would I capture that? Because I think there's very good things if I can capture it as one article, one blog article. So now I'm writing it. So if I don't write it, um, I'm not able to share the gist or the essence of what had been discussed, which I think good to be read by a bigger audience, by our academic staff and so on. So this is why I would encourage people to start doing this. But of course, it doesn't count. Yesterday, our deputy vice chancellor asked me, so this one doesn't count, right? Yeah, I said, no. If people are doing this for KPI, forget about it. You know? Yeah, anything else? Questions? If not,
Yeah. I have a question to ask,
yeah.
Doctor. Okay, my first question is, Doctor, how do you habituate your writing? I tried to write once, but I realized that consistency is an issue for me. That is number one. Number two, what is the best time or the optimum time for us to journal, to write in our journal? And the third one, I have heard opinions saying that, don't go back and read what we have written in the past. For example, if we have written that a year ago, don't waste time to check again. What is your advice on this, Doctor? Thank you very
Thank you
much for
so
your
much.
session, by the way.
Thank you, brilliant. Just call me Raihana. Consistency. Like with everything, if those of you who try to kind of have certain goals for exercise or whatever, or maybe your goal is to read a book a month, or outside your KPIs work, consistency is doing it in incremental steps. So maybe for this week you will say, I'm going to just journal once a week, maybe Saturday night or Friday night or Sunday morning or whatever. Just take once a week. So do it regularly once a week. You reflect on what's happened this entire week at work, for instance, just once a week. And then when it becomes a habit, you first of all, you have to take actions to make the habit happen, and then the habit becomes you. A lot of people are quoting Robin Sharma on the Telegram. A few people. I agree. One of the things that Robin talks about is that first you make the habit, and then the habit makes you. So don't aim to do big stuff. Incremental. Like say for month of April just started. So for the month of April, I'm going to just journal once a week. And then choose a good day that you're not harassed. Like Sunday morning is good for me. Families like doing their own thing, so I wake up early and then I do my usual workouts or whatever, and then I sit with my coffee, and then you open your journals and just write whatever you want to write about, and look at some of the micro habits and take one and just go on with that, right? So that's an idea. Some ideas would be like journal immediately after something, like choose a habit. So you hook it with something. For instance, after breakfast or whilst you're finishing your breakfast, at the weekend, immediately begin to write something. So don't go marketing, go do laundry, or go do other things, immediately after whatever it is you choose to hook it on, breakfast or whilst you're having coffee, you journal and choose one day a week. And then slowly it becomes a habit because you're happy to express your thoughts, and then you will do more. But don't try to do huge stuff. Small scale first, and then you scale up. I hope that answers the question, Nuriz.
Sorry, it's me, Zahira. I don't know why it's Nuriz there. Thank you, Doctor.
I don't know what. Sorry.
No, I don't know why it's Nuriz.
Who's this?
It's me, Zahira.
Oh, hi, Zahira.
Hi. I don't know why it's Nuriz. All right, thank you, Doctor, for the first question. The second one, the optimum time, Doctor. What is the best time in your opinion?
I'm a morning person. I'm a morning person. My husband and my daughter, they are evening owls. I'm a morning lark. So if you ask me, I would say go with the morning. But you have to ask yourself, are you a night owl, or are you a morning owl, a morning lark? I'm a morning person, so I would say morning, because that's when my mind is fresh. In the evening, I tend to get tired. I tend to see more negatives. I have to be honest. I tend to focus more on the negative and things that did not work out. In the morning, I'm more hopeful, maybe because I've had my sleep. So yeah, I would go with the morning.
Yeah, me too. My best ideas always come in the morning. It just come like a waterfall,
Same.
Usually about 2 hours. I will do my writing, Andy, in the morning.
Oh, Prof does it regularly? Is it every morning? Yeah.
Well, not necessarily every morning. Well, if you consider writing on the FB is also writing.
Yeah.
But otherwise, when I start writing on an article, for example, now I write one blog article, a summary of what I've been the points from the last 3 days workshop. So I started last night. So I got 2 paragraphs. So this morning, I think I almost 1 paragraph. So now 3 paragraphs. So it's progressing.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it now. But it depends on the person, I guess. Some night owl, maybe night is the best time. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Zahira, for those questions. I can see Firzan here. Dr. Firzan, any question from you? Oh, okay.
Sorry. Zahira already asked my questions.
Okay, on behalf, yeah. Okay. Ada siapa lagi? Any more question? I think this is a very good discussion here. Perhaps we can have more minutes if Dr. Rai doesn't mind.
Yeah, don't mind.
Yeah. Any more questions from others? How to foster love for writing? Macam mana Dr. Rai?
But it goes back to Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence, because I'm an introvert. I'm more of a homebody, So writing and reading other people's writing as well is part of my journey towards exploring myself. So intrapersonal skills is my strength, but interpersonal skills is my weakness. I need to work on social skills and stuff like that. So working on writing, you need to also focus on the fact that some of us have a predisposed tendency for it, and some of us need to work on it, right? Those who need to work on it, you have to give yourself prompts and things to write about. Because if you're going to just open a blank space and say, okay, now write, you might get lost. Somebody like Prof. Karim, he has lots of ideas. You give him a blank space and he'll be like, yes, where do I start? I'm going to write about this, I'm going to write about that. But there are those of us who are like, we don't have anything to write about. So these 5 prompts that 5 micro habits that I've kind of suggested are just the tip of the iceberg. There are lots of other ways and strategies, you know. Maybe you read a book that you really, really liked. It could be anything, or you watched a movie that you really, really enjoyed. Write about that. What did you like about it? How did that movie teach you about yourself? So ask those kind of critical questions. So don't just let things happen for entertainment, but make it educational as well. You know, yeah.
Hard to believe that you are an introvert.
Oh my goodness, Prof. I put on a show, Prof. Every time I'm a teacher, I put on a show.
Oh, you put it on show, because I still remember that the moment that act that you put up on the class is half full. The class is well, maybe the audience they don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah, I still remember that vividly in my mind. All right.
First time I met Prof. Karim, yeah.
Okay. So, if anything else, burning questions that you want to ask Dr. Rai? No more? Okay.
Prof. Karim,
Yeah, silakan.
I have a question
Ah,
to Dr. Rai. What is the difference between writing in a journal and writing in a diary? Is there any difference?
Okay, it sounds nicer to say you're journaling rather than you're writing in your diary, you know. I'm being cheeky. No, there is no difference. You know, I call it a journal largely because that's a language that I'm comfortable with. So if you want to call it a diary, you know, that's fine. But it's more about what goes into the journal. You know, the content of writing that goes into the journal. Diary tends to be more like your personal expressions, right? Dear diary, today I met so and so and we did this, and you know, so it can be very expressive, right? And journaling can be equally the same. So actually there isn't much of a difference, but I like the word journaling because it has a kind of a professional twang to it, a flavor to it. Because I know on Telegram somebody was like, yeah, you know, it's exactly the same as diary. Yeah, it is, you know, if you want to kind of break it down. But when you Google the art of reflective journaling, that is actually part of the pedagogy of improving yourself as an educator. So there is a kind of a school of thought when it comes to reflective journaling for educators. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So,
who was that? Who was that, by the way? Firzan?
Firzan.
Okay.
Yes, Firzan.
Firzan and Zahira always come together.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, any more question? Maybe one last question, maybe. If not, I have shared my blogging, my Medium blog, my own personal blog, as well as another Medium publication called Anecdotes of Academia in the WhatsApp, in the Telegram.
So, brilliant. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, I would like to invite all of you here to, if you want to write any article to submit to Anecdotes of Academia, maybe that probably if you have not done any kind of blogging or journaling, maybe that's a platform you to start with. And you can set up your own as well. And for your information, CDAE is in the process of launching our e-book platform, self-publishing platform. We call it Indie at USM. Indie stands for independent writer, independent film producer. So actually, we're hoping to launch it actually this month, but I think we have to postpone it, delay it a little bit because of the technical issues. So inshallah by end of May, we will launch the platform, and currently we already have a few ebooks already. But you don't see it online because I need to launch it end of May. You can find more info. I will share the information about this ebook platform in the Telegram shortly. And I would like to invite all of you to submit your ebook, and maybe you can see your ebook on our platform when we launch it end of May. So I'd like to thank Dr. Raihana for a very enlightening and very good insights on journaling. This is only the second part, and we have the final third part sometime next week.
Next Monday.
So don't miss that. Yeah. I hope I can join. I'm not sure. I hope I can join the third part so that we can have fun and learn together. So let us show our appreciation for Dr. Rohana. We can use the icon. Round of applause.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Rai. So
Thank you
hopefully,
so much, Prof. Inshallah.
Next session, and I think I'm going to see you also in the next EAN meeting as well.
Inshallah.
All right. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Bye-bye, everybody. Take
Have a
care.
nice day, everyone. Stay safe and stay productive. Let's start writing.
Amin.
Thank you.
Bye, Prof.
Bye.